Okay, today we're going to go over how to fabricate a custom tray. So basically, you have your alginate impression poured up that you took, and what you're going to do first is draw a line in blue pencil to the depth of the vestibule, just to record where that is. So you'll start back at the hamular notch, and you'll go around. You could either use one of these or just any blue pencil that you might have. And you're going to go around to the depth of the vestibule, over the frenum, and go all the way around to the opposite hamular notch. Okay. Alright. Then you're going to draw a straight line from one hamular notch to the other, like so. Okay, so that's the first line. Next, you're going to draw a line in red about 2 to 3 millimeters closer to the ridge, higher up, and that's going to mark where the end of your custom tray will be. And the reason why you want to not have it go all the way to the vestibule is because you want to be able to use compound there for when you border mold. So this doesn't have to be exact, but eyeball about 2 to 3 millimeters above that blue line. And again, go all the way around the model to the other hamular notch, like so. Okay, so that's the first step. Okay, the next step is blocking out your undercuts. So I have here the undercut wax. So what you want to do is just this in here. And basically what you want to do is block out the undercuts so that when you make your custom tray and you take the final impression, doesn't get stuck in the patient's mouth and you have to really tug on it. So you definitely want to make sure that these are reasonably blocked out here. You don't have to go crazy overboard using a lot of wax, but you just want to make sure that they're sufficiently blocked out. Alright, so now all the undercuts blocked out here. Blocked a little bit out in the hamular notch areas, and the rugae. Alright, so the next step, you're going to put a layer of pink wax over where the custom tray is going to go, so over the whole entire maxilla here. And this is important because this allows you to have space between the custom tray and the model, which in the mouth will be where the impression material will be able to fit. And it also allows for the tissue stops, which we'll go over in a minute. So just gently, make this, you don't want it melted, but you do want it, pliable so that you could nicely place it like this, light finger pressure. You don't want to really squeeze it because you do want to have some thickness to it. And then just kind of bring it around like this. Okay. So a few important things. You just want to make sure you have a nice even layer of wax. You don't want it to be higher in one area and then lower in another area. So once you got that on there, then you're going to take your scalpel and you're going to trim away the excess wax. Right? Now it's nice and trimmed. The next step, and very important, is to cut tissue stops. So I'm going to place one here, right over the ridge, one here, one here and one here. And these will serve so that when you're placing the custom tray in the patient's mouth, you're consistently placing it in the same spot and at the same height. It will also serve so when you take the impression, you know that you are all the way down and evenly impressing the impression, because the tissue stops will show through the impression material in those 4 spots. Okay, next we're going to place a layer of Alcoat, and what this serves as is a median so that you could remove the custom tray from the wax and they don't stick together. You could also use aluminum foil or Vaseline, but we have the Alcoat here. So you just take a cotton roll and just get some here. And what you want to do is just, place it over the wax area. And I would wear a glove just so you don't get it all over your hands. Okay, so next we're going to open up the Triad custom tray material, which you get from dispensary. So just, before the night ends and dispensary closes, make sure you get this if you need a custom tray for the next day. Alright, so what you're going to want to do, you take it out. First thing you want to do before you do anything, take a few pieces off like this and place them in those tissue stops you made. This way you know that they're definitely filled and that they'll serve their actual purpose. Next, you're going to want to lay the custom tray material on the wax, and just with light finger pressure, mold it around the waxed area. Okay, so now the pink wax is where it ends where the red line is. So what you're going to do is take a scalpel and just cut the custom tray. It doesn't have to be perfect again, because you could always adjust it, but you want to get as close as possible to where the end of the pink wax is. And it's important that we have excess custom tray material, because once it's all off, we're going to use that to make a handle, which I will show you in a second. Alright, so now we trimmed it. So what you're going to want to do is, you're going to want the areas where the frenums are. You could do this either now or later, but you're just going to want to relieve those areas just a little bit more to give room for the compound when you border mold in those areas. Yeah, nothing crazy, just cut out a little triangle in those areas, sort of give you a little more space. Alright, so now the next step that we're going to want to do is with the excess, like I had mentioned before, we're going to want to make a handle. Now everyone has different types of handles that they like, different faculty. You could do something simple, just make a triangle here with this and place it at the anterior aspect, and this is so you could take the tray in and out. Another thing you could do that I've seen some people like to do is make a horseshoe like this. Some people like this better. I kind of like this better because when you're border molding, what you could have the patient do is ask them when the compound is just about set to make a fishy face with your finger in their mouth, and that really helps to take the impression of the vestibule with the compound. And so there, you can make a handle just like this. Alright, so now you're going to take the Triad air barrier coating and you're going to rub a thin layer over the entire custom tray. You can just take a little bit, not too much, and just dribble a little bit, and then just move it around using the cotton roll. And you want to get it over the handle, you want to get it all over the tray, this way the whole thing evenly hardens in the machine. Okay. turn this machine on and off. The button's over here. Alright. And it's important to turn it off when you're done making the tray, because the motor will just continually run. It says on top, turn off. So turn it on. Place the custom tray inside. I normally have it on 4 minutes. And then close the door and let it work. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take a little bit more of the air barrier coating. After you take this off the tray and remove the wax, you're going to place a little bit on the inside like this, move it around, and then place it on the model, and place it back in here. Okay, so now it's all done. So make sure that you turn off the Triad 2000 here. And what you're going to want to do now is just take your nose cone. Any areas that you feel are sharp, just, trim it, make it nice and smooth so when you place it in the patient's mouth, it doesn't bother them. And also, you're going to try it in the patient's mouth. Now, if it's not perfect, that's fine. You could always trim away a little more in the patient's mouth so it fits really nicely.